and welcome back to the Ask Dr. Renee show. And so today I am so excited. We have a really amazing guest. If you guys have read the bio in the post, then you already know. But if you've never watched before, then you should know. But if you don't know, I have severe food allergies, so this meant a whole lot to me when I found out about these amazing products that taste so delicious. I also have a very big thing with cookies. I don't really have a sweet tooth because I was allergic to a lot of sweets, but I do like cookies. And that's how she started. But welcome to the show, Denise.
Thank you so much for having me, Dr. Renee. I'm so excited to be here.
Thanks a lot. So I want everyone to know, one, I really want people at the end of this to realize that one person can make a difference, because you have made a huge difference in this space. And I don't even know if that's what you set out to do, but you've done it. So first, tell everyone, how did you get started? Like, why did you get started?
So I got started because I have a 7-year-old daughter named Vivian. Around her first birthday, we learned that she's allergic to cashew, pistachio, walnut, pecan, pine nut, corn, eggs, and bananas. And I was very frustrated with what I could and couldn't find for her. This was back in the summer of 2016, and I felt like the products that I was finding, I either didn't love the taste of, nutritionally I didn't feel great about, and I really didn't feel like there was a brand that was really bringing people with and without food allergies together to enjoy food safely and deliciously, in community. And so wanted to do something about that at the urging of our babysitter, who you will find has an equity stake in the business because she really pushed me to do something about it. I decided to, and so I left my career at Coca-Cola in August of 2017 to officially launch Partake Foods.
So most people don't just say, okay, I'm going to just start a food brand. So, I mean, I tell everyone Google is your best friend, but what did you do to figure out, okay, well, this is how I can, like, did you start in your kitchen and then?
Google is definitely your best friend. I knew that if I was going to leave a career that I loved, I wanted to create a company that would impact millions of people outside of my own family. And so the first things I thought of are, where would I make this product and how would I make this product? So on the where front, I started to try to find top 8, top 9 allergen-free contract manufacturers. There aren't very many of them that exist. And the ones that do exist are typically not working with very small startups. And so that was a big challenge. The way we overcame that, I ended up running a Kickstarter campaign that finished in the top 1% of food Kickstarters at the time, as a, I told you other people think this is a good idea. And thankfully they agreed to work with us. And then on the what we were going to make and what products we'd make, I went into the kitchen and failed horribly, and very quickly realized I was not the person that was going to be able to develop the vision I wanted in the form of a cookie. And so thanks to some Googling and LinkedIn stalking, I was able to find a woman that we still work with, who was able to help bring my vision to life. So that's how, those were the couple of first steps that we took in trying to get the business off the ground.
Now, I read that you won a pitch competition, but you didn't even have a product.
Yes, I think that was the thing, that was the kick in the butt. It was really, and I think I remember this on days where the journey gets really hard. Like, there's been so many small moments that have really shown me that, like, this is the path that I'm supposed to be on. And it was really almost like out of a movie. I was at the zoo with my husband, Jeremy, and my daughter, and it was a Saturday afternoon. And I was like, you won't believe what idea Martha had. She thinks I should start a food company. And this person in line in front of me turns around and he's like, do you know about the Start Something Challenge, which is this small business competition in New Jersey where we were living at the time? I was like, no. He was like, you should look into it because it sounds like you have a good idea. The deadline to enter that competition was that following Monday. I went home and I incorporated a business. And for some reason, I decided that I was equipped to enter this pitch competition. And I entered and I won with just the idea for Partake. And what it gave me was $10,000 in seed capital, which was important. But more importantly, it came with some local press, which forced me to tell my employer what I was working on, which then they were like, yeah, nice idea, we're supportive. But when you actually have a product, you got to hit the road. And that was the kick in the butt that I needed, because I probably would have otherwise tried to turn this into like a farmer's market project or something that I did on the weekends. And so I'm forever grateful to this unknown man from the zoo and his pushing me to enter the pitch competition.
That is so funny. That is too funny. But, you know, it's like a God wink. Like God was like, okay, Martha,
Mm-hmm.
good idea. This is why you should, and this is how we'll confirm that this is actually
Yep.
a good idea. So I love hearing how you did your test subjects. I love that, and how you kind of got it out into the market.
Sure. So we initially, when we were developing the products to understand what flavors and the taste, I couldn't afford a real focus group. So I would send like a survey monkey with survey monkey sample or survey monkey survey with samples to friends. And I'd send it to 10 friends and then I'd ask them to send it to 10 more friends. And so that's how we got initial feedback. And then when we had an actual product, we launched initially with 3 flavors of crunchy cookies in August of 2017. I sold cookies out of my car to natural food stores in New York. So it's just me delivering the cookies. One day I had these different routes. I'd do Brooklyn one day and the Upper West Side one day. And I would do hundreds of demos and I would drag my husband and my daughter along to do demos. And we do demos and trade shows on the weekends. And it really was just like very grassroots, very like family business from day one. And it was just us hustling cookies.
That is so cool. Now, does your husband work for the company?
He does not
Okay.
technically, but I think that to be a successful entrepreneur, it really does feel like an all hands on deck family effort. And so his background's in finance. In the early days, he built all of our models, helped me with all the accounting, did demos, and still like pitches in wherever he can.
Awesome. That is cool. I love it. And so first of all, did you see Partake being as big as it is now?
Yes and no. Like, I wouldn't have left my career if I didn't really believe that we were going to build a scalable business. But then when I look around and actually see that, like, there's employees that work here that are not just me, and our products are available in 10,000 stores, it's still like I have to like pinch myself every time. So it's kind of a combination of like I really had so much belief in the need for our business, but to actually see that come to life is I'm something I'm so grateful for.
So I must tell everyone. So I was introduced to Partake from somebody that we both know, Javier Evelyn. And he told me, "You've not heard about them? Oh my God, the cookies are so good. You have to try them." And I was like, "Well, where do we get them?" He's like, "Oh, go to Target." Okay. So we get the cookies, and I was like, "Oh my God, they are delicious." And so that was in 2021. And I was like, oh my God, I've got to get her on the show. I've got to talk to her. And so this, you guys, has been a long time in the making. But we did get to meet in person in September at the fair conference, which was awesome. And she was on a panel and talked about this, which is so amazing to be in this space because there's not a whole lot of Black women. We did interview here on the show Nicole. I can't think of her last name. She does Everybody Eats.
She's fantastic.
Yes. And then we also interviewed Danielle Tubbs with Tubby's Taste. And Tubby's Taste is soy-free, nut-free, and egg-free, I think.
Oh, I'll have to check them out. That means they're
Yes.
safe for my daughter.
Yes. Tubby's Taste. And Danielle is Jamaican. And so her foods have like a Jamaican flavoring. They taste delicious. They are phenomenal. And Tubby's Taste is only available online, tubbystaste.com. And then there's a few stores in Chicago that have it. But yeah, Danielle is doing big things. We saw her on GMA3, and that's how I was introduced to her. And it's funny, Nicole and Danielle are both in the Chicago area. Danielle's in Chicago and Nicole came out of Evanston. So, and it was just crazy. But 3 Black women in the food allergy space, and all with their own reasons why. Danielle doesn't have food allergies. Her thing was she would cook for people all the time, and they were just like, "Oh, but I can't have this and I can't have that." And so she was like, "Well, what can you have?" And so that's why she decided to make sure she could give them something that they could actually eat, because she always was baking for her coworkers and stuff. And then now this is what she does.
Love it. I think
Yeah.
the best businesses are born out of personal experiences and trying to solve for those problems for sure. And then I think when you look at the rise in veganism and plant-based diets, like propensity for Black and brown kids to have food allergies, like I think the diversity that you're seeing in this space matches some of the challenges that we're seeing in our community.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, and I know that because I've spoken to you, I know that one of the things was the stuff had to taste good. And that is my thing. Like everybody eats, it's more, it's crackers and crisp breads. She has these vegan Cheez-Its, you guys, that I was like, I don't
They're
even like
so
Cheez-Its. They're so
good.
good though. And I don't eat regular Cheez-Its, and I could, but I don't like them. These are actually tasty. And I was like, wow. And hers are top 14 allergen friendly. So it's just amazing. But her stuff is really good. So that's my whole thing is it's one thing because I am allergic to a lot of things. And there's a lot of reasons why I won't eat certain things because it doesn't taste good. But this stuff actually tastes good. So good that my completely allergy-free family devours them just as fast as I do. So.
I feel like that's always the test. It's like you want to create something that people with and without food allergies can enjoy safely together, and where the folks with the food without the food allergies aren't sacrificing from a taste perspective to include the allergy person. So yeah, no, I think Nicole and what she and Trish are building at Everybody Eats is so impressive, and the products are delicious.
Yeah. And then the other thing is I'm doing Weight Watchers and I checked the points and I was like, it's not a whole lot of points for these cookies either. So I don't have to feel so terrible because
I just signed up for Weight Watchers myself, so I'm going to find out today how many points our cookies are because I'm going to enjoy some later.
Yes. And of course you can scan the QR code and it works and that's how I did it. So these are her chocolate chip cookies. You guys, I'm allergic to chocolate, so these are my family's cookies, and then double chocolate. and then birthday cake. And the ones that I've eaten are the cookie butter, which are gone. And what else have we eaten? Carrot cake, gone. Ginger, gone. So those are
I'm glad they're gone. That is great.
Those are the boxes we killed. And then I'm so excited you just announced snickerdoodles. So when my mother is a cook, and she bakes cakes, cookies, whatever. So when we were little, we were bored one day and we were like, Mommy, we're bored. And she's like, go get one of the cookbooks. So we had this cookbook. It was a junior's cookbook, and I can't think of the name of it. It's a famous person, but they have a junior version. Junior's cookbook. We read it, and there's a and we go through it. And the only recipe I think that we found in there that I could eat was snickerdoodles because everything else had chocolate or nuts. And so snickerdoodles did not. And so that's what I made. So snickerdoodles are the first cookie I ever learned to make. And those are my favorite cookies. And I'm real particular on snickerdoodles. So I'm going to taste yours and I'm going to let you know.
Let me know what you think about them. You can find them at Target nationally now.
Yeah. So but we are really big snickerdoodle people. As soon as I saw that, I told my sister, I was like, we got to go get some snickerdoodles. And it's important for snickerdoodles to be soft. So I really excited because she has crunchy cookies and soft cookies, you guys. So like the birthday cake are hard cookies, but then the snickerdoodle is a soft cookie. So
something for everybody.
Yep. And then she has pancake and waffle mix. And this is the classic. And then here's the confetti. And then pizza crust. So this is top 9 allergy friendly. So it's okay for people that have gluten allergy too then, right?
That is correct. Everything is gluten-free, made in a gluten-free facility, and then we test for gluten up to 10 ppm on all of our finished products.
And then birthday cake cookie mix. So you guys, I'm telling you, you have to check these products out. She is in all the Trader Joe's, Whole Foods, Target, where else?
Kroger, select Walmarts, on Amazon, Sprouts, Fresh Market, Wegmans. So our store locator is on our website at partakefoods.com, and then you can buy our products online at Amazon as well as in all the stores that you mentioned.
There we go. There's her website. But yeah, it's so you have some very, 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 very big investors that have invested in your company. When did you get to the point and you were like, okay, now I need to try and get investors?
So when we launched in 2017, for the first year, slightly over a year, I just bootstrapped the company, and we got into Whole Foods and we got into Wegmans, and the cost got to be significantly higher to do business. And, we had really bootstrapped as far as we could. I sold my engagement ring. I emptied my 401k. I maxed out my credit cards to be able to fund the business. And so we started to try to raise outside capital, and we raised some friends and family capital that came from some of my old colleagues and my husband's colleagues, and came in like $5,000 and $10,000 checks. So we were always about to run out of money, but so grateful because it was enough to keep us going. And we went out out to try to raise a more significant round of funding because we were getting really great results at Whole Foods and Wegmans. We wanted to be able to have the capital to expand the business. And after nearly 100 no's, we thankfully got a yes from Marcy Venture Partners, which is the venture capital fund that Jay-Z co-founded. And since then, we've added some really interesting folks like Rihanna and the singer Her, Bobby Wagner and who's in the NFL, Ashley Graham, the model. And also, though, just as equally important, so many interesting impact funds that are investing in women or people of color and doing just great work in the venture capital ecosystem and in the food community. So we've been really fortunate to have good people around the table with us as we've been building.
Awesome. So do you are you doing more raising or?
So we're focused. It's, I think, a fine line. We're focused on growing, but also growing in a profitable way. And so at this point, we've raised about $19 million in outside capital. We'd like this last amount of capital we take in to get us to profitability and allow us to build out the brand platform that we'd like to see. And so, I'm not opposed to taking in more capital, but I think it is important for us to build a sustainable business that can stand on its own without outside capital.
Awesome. And it's just it's so interesting now to see so many people that look like us in these venture capital spaces and raising funds and hearing stories. It's so inspiring and amazing to see that. And then I was once told that food allergies and asthma was not a sexy conversation to have. So then for you to be able to go and get, I happen to be a huge Her fan, a huge Jay-Z fan, to get them to invest in this is just like, I'm like, that is so cool. Like not that they make it cool because like I said, I like cookies and cookies are delicious, but that is just really cool.
It's definitely been a dream to have such fantastic partners around the table. And yeah, I think it's really great to see the number of women and people of color getting funded. I think we still have a really long way to go. Like we went backwards in 2022 in terms of women and Black and brown folks and the amount of funding that we were able to secure. And so while there's been progress, I think we have a long way to go, but I'm excited to see what we're able to build and what other founders like Javier and like Nicole are able to build.
Yeah, definitely. And I was excited to see my friend Chrisette Michelle doing a lot of stuff with Partake. I I love Chrisette, especially her mother. Those are my peeps. And
Cool.
she actually recently shouted me out. It was so crazy. But yeah, 15 years ago, she said that I was there at the very beginning. But yeah, I love them. The Pains those are my peeps. But so it was cool to see her with Partake because I was just like, I'm so glad people are understanding and knowing about this. And I always tell everyone I was always the only with food allergies. So now that it's so common, it's really, it's wonderful for it to be common. It's really wonderful to walk down the aisle and see so many options for people with food allergies because my mom didn't have that choice. She had to go to a special health food store that was like 3 cities over to go and get everything for me. So I couldn't have milk. So she had to go get, I think I drank rice milk at the time. She had to go to get that over there. I started at soy milk, but then I was wheezing every day. My doctor figured out soy was in the nut family. You need to stop with the soy. And sure enough, 10 years old, stop with the soy. And all of a sudden I don't wheeze every day anymore. So like I said, then we went to rice milk and I had rice bread that my mother bought at this place as well. And I mean, just all sorts of things that she had to buy. But like I said, it wasn't at the grocery store. She had to go to this special store. And so I remember many years ago when I was introduced to Sun Butter and I was like, no. I was at an allergy expo and he was trying to convince me to taste it. And I go, I'm allergic to peanut butter. You're trying to kill me. And he's like, no, I promise. And I go, no, that smells and looks like peanut butter. And somehow he finally convinced me. But I remember Sun Butter was only in Whole Foods, and now you go to any grocery store. And so it's just it's so wonderful. And I tell parents now, I was like, you don't understand how good you have it.
Mm-hmm.
It's really not that bad. Like you can go to any restaurant and they might probably it's on the menu and says if you're allergic to, because so many people are trying to get, to help everyone. It's not so, be inclusive of everyone instead of, making, it very difficult for people. I mean, there's some places, obviously, I just don't belong. Like, I'm allergic to seafood. I can't smell it cooking. I'm not going to be at the sushi bar.
Fair.
If somebody touches me, I'm going to be in trouble. Sushi, something usually with your hands. And so it's not safe. So there's some places, no, I'm not going to be. But most restaurants, they can accommodate me, and I'm okay. I can find something to eat on the menu. And so that's great, And then, now you have, like, you guys have the little Valentine's pack. So then for Valentine's Day next week, when the kids have to take treats, the allergen-friendly kids can have something to take as well.
Yeah, we really try to build out our seasonal strategy and products. And so you'll see us with the Valentine's products that you mentioned. And we launched the Halloween pack last year, and we'll have some fun stuff for Easter and for Christmas. And so just wanting to create as many inclusive solutions as possible so that kids and adults with food allergies and dietary restrictions are able to confidently participate in all the fun social events that seem to include food.
Yeah. And so, as you know, in the Black community, food is a huge thing. Families gather around. So how is your experience with your daughter? I don't know if she's the only grandchild or the only person that has food allergies that's in the family. How is that with your family and food allergies?
She is the only grandchild, and so the world seems to revolve around her with her grandparents anyway. And so with the holiday situation, we're typically all together. And, I do a lot of the cooking, but I think everyone in our family is super mindful and, wants her to feel included and wants anybody in our family with dietary restrictions. My dad's a vegetarian, my husband's gluten-free, my daughter has food allergies. And so trying to pull together meals that we feel good about. I think it also often causes us to have a better for you meal because we're just eating some sort of lean proteins and a lot of roasted vegetables and things that are delicious but that typically wouldn't have the common allergens in them anyway. So we've been able to I think that's the thing. I think sometimes people think having food allergies is like a sentence to having not a fun or engaging or exciting childhood. But I feel like my daughter thankfully gets to do all the things that her friends get to do and gets to participate holidays and events in the same way that her friends do.
And she goes to school, right?
Yeah, she goes to school,
Yeah,
thankfully.
because
Thank goodness.
many people are like, oh, we have to homeschool because of the allergies. And your daughter, like me, has a lot of food allergies. But I think it's about education. You educate the teachers and the staff at the school, and your daughter, I'm sure, is very well aware of what's
Yes.
going on.
Yep, definitely so. And I think it teaches food allergy kids, I feel mature and have to advocate for themselves in a way at an early age that maybe other kids don't. And so I think that's been actually a blessing in disguise as a part of our food allergy journey because she's really quick to let you know what is safe for her body and what is not and how she needs and in a very kind but firm way, which I'm so proud of.
Yeah, and that's very important. There's so many parents, unfortunately, that I've encountered, and the kid does not speak up. Or, I recently was talking to an administrator, and they were like, yeah, we're going to this conference with the kids, but, we got there one time, and one of the kids had allergies, but was too shy to say, so they didn't say anything. So they sat there and didn't eat. And there's a reason why they asked, because they're going to accommodate you. So you should answer.
Yep.
And the children, and these were teens. So we need to make sure that the kids understand this is why, and this is that. And then that's why I wrote my book, No, Renee, You're Allergic, because not only do the children with allergies need to understand, but the ones around them need to understand. I'm sure her friends know, and I'm sure she plays with her friends at their houses and stuff. And you're not worried that something's going to happen because she knows, the parents know.
Exactly. You just got to be proactive, keep people informed, be prepared. So she always is with her EpiPen, just knock on wood, just in case. And we go about our day.
Yeah. And that's the way I think it should be. And I get so sad when I hear parents like, oh no. And it's okay. I've lived a really great life, 46 years. And, there was a whole lot of things I couldn't eat. And as a matter of fact, my grandparents, they would fry catfish, and I can't smell seafood cooking. And I'd show up and I'm like, Thankfully, you usually did that in the summer in Michigan, so therefore I would just sit outside and I'd be okay. But but I did, my piano teacher, sometimes she would be frying fish and I'd show up for piano lessons, and this is before cell phones, and I'd have to call, my sister would go in the house and call my dad, and I'd have to sit and wait for him outside, whether it was hot or cold outside, for him to come back and get me. But it is what it is, but I'm still fine. And it's okay. And there was an episode of The Nanny with Nanny Joe, who actually has food allergies, and she was with a food allergy family, and she took them to eat out to a restaurant, and the mother was panic stricken because she had never been to this restaurant, and this restaurant isn't one of their regulars. And the woman was literally crying before they went. And I was like, see, that anxiety is going to be put on your child and it's not going to go well. And it went awful. Yeah. So then the nanny said, can I take her by myself? So she took her by herself. And the little girl, for the first time ever, told the waitress, asked, and the girl told her what she was allergic to. And she said, well, what did you think you wanted to eat? And I can let you know if it has those things. And it was just an amazing thing. But this kid was like 12. And I was like, why did we wait so long? Exactly. Why did we wait so long for the child to learn how to advocate for themselves? It is so important for you to speak up. And I'm sure you probably have read, unfortunately, like in the last few weeks, there's been.
Yes, it's so tragic. I've been sharing with our team, like, this is like, food allergies are serious. As much as you can live I hate to use the word normal, but a life where you're able to participate in lots of activities and things, you have to be super careful. You have to always be prepared. And it has been so heartbreaking to see the news over the past few weeks.
Yeah. So there was, I think she was 8 years old. And then another girl, I think she was like in ninth grade, maybe. So it was just so sad. And unfortunately, they had allergic reaction at school and they unfortunately didn't make it. And so, it's just so important for you to, and I'm sure your daughter, I met her daughter. She's amazing. And I'm sure she was a lot like I was. I will tell you, I will just not eat, or I will ask you a million questions about what is in this, or what did you do to prepare this? And I tell people, if I don't feel like asking questions, I usually just won't eat, which is my choice, because if I don't feel like it, I don't feel like it. But I know what's safe for me and I know what's not. And if I don't feel safe, I'm just like, okay, well, I'm just not going to eat that. I don't just eat things because people hand them to me. I always make sure I ask questions, because you just never know, know. And you have to be careful, especially with the way that people like to put nuts in everything. I mean, things that, to me, like, I love banana bread, but I just don't understand banana bread and nuts. But but I love banana bread. But you ask, and then when people see me dissect food, because I will eat things like for a crumb, because I'm trying to check to see, because my reactions will happen off of a crumb. So if I will, like, oh, can't have this, I'm sick, something's happening, and I can immediately go and do something about it. But you just have to, you have to stay on guard. And, and I'm, like I said, these were young people. So it wasn't like they were inebriated or something and couldn't pay attention. No, these were young people, and I'm not sure what happened, but you have to stay on guard. You have to ask questions. You have to remind people. I never expect anyone to remember my allergies. As long as I know, I'm good.
Yep.
So I will ask you, because you invited me and you just maybe forgot. And so I'll ask you once again to make certain before I eat. And especially when it comes to sauces and stuff, which is why I usually just don't do sauces. I just leave it plain, and then I know it's just chicken and it's just roasted vegetables, and then I know I'm safe. But it's just so important. And like I said, I know that if we can instill in the kids to understand and make sure that they always speak up for themselves and ask questions, then you don't have, unfortunately, accidents like that. Have you ever had to epi your child?
Yes, just once, knock on wood, when we learned that she was allergic to corn, because corn isn't typically something they would test for. And so it had been suggested she should introduce peanuts, because her test showed that she was negative to peanuts. So we gave her something that was made with peanuts and corn, and she had an anaphylactic reaction. And that brought home for me how severe food allergies can be and how quickly they can escalate. And thank God we had 2 EpiPens on hand and lived close to a hospital, and we've been fine since. But yes, we have.
And so I've never had to use my EpiPen. And I tell everyone, because of my age, they didn't have EpiPens for the first, I think, 10 years of my life. I think I was around 10 or 12 when I discovered that, when my mom brought home and was like, okay, this is an EpiPen. Didn't have until then. And thankfully, I've never had to use it. Now, there's times when I should have used it, but I am awful. And so, and I was like, we will figure this out and we'll take something else. And because I have a lot of things at my disposal because of my asthma, I have a nebulizer. I have all these things to make sure that I can keep breathing if things happen. I was like, we'll get this. I'll be fine. And thankfully, I have been fine. But I now I carry Avicue, and I have 2 Avicues with me in my bag all the time now. And thankfully, like I said, I haven't had to use it. But I have it, and most people around me usually know that I do have it. I went to Carnival a couple years ago, and so everyone had one. Each of my 2 cousins and my sister. So in case I wasn't with one, I'd be with the other one, and so just in case. But I had a great time, and I was able to eat street food, and I was in heaven, and it was wonderful. Wow. And just a word to those that are allergic to, especially nuts. In the islands, they don't usually fry in any kind of oil, but good old vegetable oil. And so that's why I was okay, because, I went to, I love fried chicken, and I went to some place in Atlanta. I think it was at the Pont City Market. And they had this fried chicken that looked so good. I was like, oh my God. And I went to get some, and I was on the phone with my sister, and she goes, you should really ask them what they fry it in. I was like, it's just fried chicken. They'll be fine. Alicia's like, just ask. Sure enough, it was peanut oil.
Yeah, I'm from the Southeast, and we do fry a lot of stuff in peanut oil. So that sounds right.
So I was like, oh my God. Okay. Thank you, Lord. I asked, so won't be eating that. And so, and there's a fried chicken place. It's a chain, and they have it in Chicago. I can't think of the name of it.
Harold's?
Sure enough, went in there and asked them, and they do peanut oil too. I know that you used to live in Chicago. It's right by the bridge. If you're going like to where the House of Blues used to be, it's this little place. Can't think of the name of it. And it was so funny. A New Yorker went to Chicago and said, Renee, have you ever had this chicken? And I was like, no, what are you talking about? She's like, it's in Chicago. And I was like, and sure enough, I was walking. I go, oh, and I went in there, and it did look great. And then I asked, and sure enough, I was like, duh.
Darn it.
But yeah, so it's, that was the one thing with the islands, is that because there's a lot of frying going on, especially in Trinidad, they fry in vegetable oil. And so I didn't have a problem.
Yeah, good.
But yeah, peanut oil can be very dangerous. And for whatever reason, and I don't know, maybe soy oil has been a new thing.
Oh, I haven't been seeing that. We don't have a soy allergy, so I haven't been as cautious on that. Okay. Corn oil is the culprit for us, so we avoid that where possible.
Yeah, soy oil. I used to go to Applebee's all the time, and then I went to Applebee's as an influencer, so they had given me money to spend there. They had paid me to talk about it on my Instagram and on my blog, and I went, and it was a grilled menu, so I didn't even eat fried food. I woke up the next morning, I felt this heaviness. I was like, what is that? I looked in the mirror, and my lips were huge. I mean, I looked like the Joker, like,
oh my goodness.
My dimples were gone, and it was just the whole bottom of my face was like this.
Wow.
And so I went, and I was home. It was a weekend that I was in Michigan with my parents. So I went downstairs. I had a hood on. I go, Mom, look at my face. She's like, I can't see. Take the hood off. And she screamed. She's like, what happened? I go, I don't know. I woke up like this. And about 30 minutes later, she said, call the restaurant. I think it's a delayed peanut reaction. And I was like, huh? She goes, this happened before. And I was like, okay. And sure enough, I called Applebee's, and they were like, oh yeah, we switched to soy oil. I was like, why did you do that?
Oh.
I can't do soy. And they were like, oh, well, yeah. So Applebee's
Good
was
to
one
know.
of my spots that was taken off of the list because.
Oh, that's no fun.
Yeah, my sister was like, well, let's just be thankful that it was just your face that swelled up and not your throat, because I was asleep.
Yeah.
And I woke up like that. And that was the first and only time that has ever happened. It was really strange. And of course, after a few hours, it went away. But It
Scary.
spooked me for a sec. Yeah, because I was like, well, what happened? I thought I had washed my face, my makeup off, and I was like, was it the wipes? I mean, I was just perplexed. And then my mom was like, call the restaurant. I think I know. And sure enough, she was right. So yeah, it's very interesting though, across the board. I've started asking restaurants, and several that I've always gone to have switched to this soy oil. And I was like, is it cheaper or something? Like, why aren't they just using
So
either?
many supply chain challenges. It, who knows if it's related to a shortage on something
Yeah,
else or a change in pricing on something. But yeah, I think that's just a reminder on why you should always ask.
yeah. So how did you find out originally that your daughter had food allergies? What was the first thing?
On Thanksgiving, the first year that she was born, so she was about 7 months old, she had a baked macaroni that had egg in it, and she ended up vomiting like 14 times over 5 hours. And we took her to the emergency room. And by the time we took her to the emergency room, she was totally fine. And they said, oh, it's just a stomach bug. And then she had eggs again a few weeks later and had a similar reaction. And so that's where we learned about the food allergies, because I was like, well, this doesn't seem like it can't be a stomach bug both go around. She was too young to do like the skin testing for food allergies, but they gave us an EpiPen at that point because they were like, clearly she has some sort of food allergic situation. And then right around her first birthday, we tested her for food allergies. And that's how we learned of the tree nut allergies and the banana allergy.
I see. I see. Now, does anyone else in your family had allergies before this?
No allergies and no other family members.
Wow. Wow. So my mom is allergic to all melons. And then she has a sibling that also is, and then another sibling that is allergic to shellfish and nuts, I think it is. So it was kind of a thing. But then I just got clobbered with everything. And I can eat melons, but I just can't have citrus fruits. That's the only fruit category that I can't have. But yeah. But yeah, that is interesting, and I'm sure very scary. 7 months old, that's a lot of vomiting. Like, I mean,
that was a lot of vomiting. I think food allergies weren't even on my radar, and I'd always associated allergies with swelling. So at the time, I was just nervous that she had eaten something that was like terrible for her. Food allergies didn't even cross my mind. But after the further incident with the corn, I realized like how severe the food allergies could be.
now they had done a skin test on me when I was 10 and said I had a corn allergy. And up to that point, I had been eating corn, not excessively or anything, but I ate it. And so my mom was like, well, you've never had a reaction. No need to stop now. Just don't overdo it. And so I've never had a problem. So I'm saying that to hopefully that she'll grow out of at
I
least
hope so. I hope
something.
so. And
Yeah.
I think there's as more people have food allergies, there'll be more treatments and more research that's done. And so hopefully in our lifetime, we'll see some significant changes in how food allergies are managed and diagnosed and treated. So we shall see.
Yeah, there's so much going on now with the oral immunotherapy and then with the Palzoria, I think it's called, the pills for the nut allergy. There's just
Hmm.
so many things that, you're right. In our lifetime, I'm sure there's going to be even more changes because they are doing so much research and trying to figure out how and why and what they can do to fix it. Do you think your daughter would be interested in oral immunotherapy?
We're exploring it, and so I think she's not opposed to it. I think that, I'd want her to be on board, but I would
Right.
love for us to find a solution that we feel good about that would allow us both to feel a bit safer with her getting older and going out into the world more alone. But, we haven't really come to a decision yet.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Because I just was reading about a 5-year-old and they were like, he doesn't want to do it. Can you give me suggestions on how to convince him? And I'm thinking, don't.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, wait till he wants to do it because God forbid it go wrong. He's going to blame somebody. So
Mhm.
wait till he's ready.
Yep.
And
No,
so,
I
yeah.
definitely understand that.
Yeah, and so that makes sense, and I'm glad that I personally I said you can't teach an old dog new tricks because I met someone, it must have been like 6 7 years ago. I think it was the same event where I met Javier, and they were like, oh, you should, and I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm okay. I was like, and everyone's like, but you can't have chocolate. I go, but you don't miss what you've never had. My sister made brownies the other day, and she's like, I just wonder, does that smell good to you? I was like, not really.
I sometimes feel I don't want to say worse. I don't know which one I feel worse for, but like adults who develop food allergies
I feel
after they've
awful.
had something, I think that's challenging. Like my daughter's never had, well, like outside of that incident, hasn't had corn or tree nuts. And so she doesn't really feel like she's missing out on anything. Whereas like an adult who's been eating shellfish every day, who can't have lobster anymore, that's pretty sad.
I was on a podcast, and she said she can't have bacon anymore.
Oh.
I was like, it's one thing to make a decision to say I'm going to be vegan or vegetarian or something, but for somebody who eats meat and they liked bacon and can't eat bacon because they are allergic, I was so sorry. And so I guess I'm thankful that I grew up this way. So I don't know what I'm missing. I've never had an omelet, never had scrambled eggs, but I'm okay with that. But thankfully I can eat eggs baked in things. I eat pancakes. I can eat cookies and stuff. So I can eat eggs baked in things. So thankfully for that, but I don't really miss the things that I never had because I just never had them, and I'm okay with that. And I said, and it's funny, I went to Cold Stone, I had a horrible allergic reaction, and I said, and only went twice, so this was on the second time, and I was like, well, no more Cold Stone, and it was just like, it's okay, like I just can't have it for the rest of my life. I'll be okay. I can still have ice cream. I just can't have it there. And so I was like, it's okay. So, but yeah, what do you say? What do you like? I know you do a lot of speaking engagements. What do you say to people who have ideas in their head about executing?
I think those are two of the words. Like, I think it's one thing to have an idea, and I think it's another thing to execute. And the entrepreneurial journey is one that's filled with a lot of ups and a lot of downs. And so I think you need to be building something for a reason that's bigger than, oh, I want to be an entrepreneur. Oh, I think this will get me rich or famous. You need something that is guiding you, that will be a North Star to keep you going throughout the tribulations that come with being an entrepreneur. So I tell people to kind of keep that in mind. And then if it is something that is keeping them up at night, that they feel passionate about solving a problem for, that it's okay to start small. I think people have like glamorized entrepreneurship and have this idea of overnight success that's sometimes not very realistic. And it takes years to build something in most cases. And so I just tell people to have patience and enjoy the journey.
Yes, definitely. And entrepreneurship is not for the faint at heart. And especially when you're stepping into new spaces. Like I'm sure you could have gotten very frustrated trying to find a manufacturing place that was completely free of the allergens.
For sure.
That is so important to a lot of people, that there's not shared facility or shared lines and all of this stuff. So I am sure that was a lot.
You keep going when the world needs something and you think that you're hopefully helping make it a better place.
Now, why didn't you ever do Shark Tank?
At the period we would have maybe thought about it was during COVID. And so the protocols they had around COVID, I just couldn't be away from my family for weeks. And so we ended up getting funding in other ways. And so it didn't work out, but it's a family tradition at our house to watch Shark Tank every week. So we are very big fans.
So am I. And I watch now because I'm like, I need to watch and get inspired to think of what can I come up with?
There's so many good ideas, so many inspiring stories. I love watching it.
Yeah. There was on there an ice cream. Maybe you saw her. It was a lady, and it's a allergy-friendly ice cream. And I know they're at Plum Markets. But I can't remember the name of it. But when I went, of course, it wasn't at ours. And I was like, but she is in stores though. And I'm trying to remember, did she get a deal? I can't remember if she got a deal or not, but I was online as soon as I heard her say it, because it was ice cream that wasn't made with milk. So it was with a dairy alternative. Mm-hmm. And she had all different flavors. If I remember it, I'm going to send and tell you. But yeah, it sounded really delicious. I was like, well, I want to try it.
I might have missed that one. I don't know. I'm going to go back and look now.
Yeah. So, but yeah, there is so many amazing things and so many people trying to fix. And that's the thing with entrepreneurship. If you can find a problem and fix that little problem, then you're winning. And make sure that that problem is something that like you actually care about, and it's not, I'm just trying to make a buck, because
Yep.
you'll run into some walls and bump your head a couple times, but
Hmm.
it'll happen eventually.
That
And
is
so
true.
this being Black History Month, and you're a lot of firsts, which is great. But what do you hope for us? Like, I mean, it'd be great if me and you, I'm sure we celebrate Black History all day, every day, 365 days a year. But this is our 1 month to celebrate. So, what is something that we would love to see happen in the what is something you'd love to see happen in? It doesn't even have to be in food allergy space. It could be in the entrepreneurial space for us.
I would love there to be more opportunity, access, and equity. I think there's over mentoring, not enough hiring, and sending the wire and funding and supporting entrepreneurs supporting Black entrepreneurs. Um, so I would say I want to see more action coming towards our community to allow us to build the companies that need to exist in the world.
Love it. Love it. And there are so many like Denise and Nicole and some of the others that I've mentioned. I don't know if you're familiar with Robin Wilson. She has allergen-friendly bedding.
No, but I'm going to check
She's
it
at
out.
Macy's and she's on Wayfair.
Amazing. No, I need to check her
Yeah.
out.
She's been on the show as well. Another Black woman. She is out of she's in New York City.
Oh,
Yep.
I'm definitely going to check her out.
Yep. But yeah, so there's so many people that are doing really amazing things. And if they had more funding, they could do even more amazing things. So you're right. If we could just get on the even, level playing field, because, there's Martha Stewart's betting at Macy's. And now, thankfully, like I said, there is Robbins, but Robbins could be at Nordstrom's and it could be at, all these other places as well. So yeah, it's wonderful to see when you walk in and you see all these faces, like at the and you're at Target. So, at Target, they have the lovely Black History Month display with all of the different things that are, from Black creators and owners. And that's great. And I wish they had it year round. They don't.
That's what I was going to say. I want to see this. I would love also to see the same energy all year long around DEI and just like making the world a more inclusive, equitable place.
Yeah, and it's just, and I think that for the people who go shopping, especially with their children, to see people that look like them on the different products and saying, hey, that's the creator of this. And it's like, that's a big deal. I actually know several of the people that have hair care lines in Target, and I personally know them. And it blows me away every time I go to Target, because I'm like, that's so-and-so and that's so-and-so. And, I'm like, wow. And it blows me away, but it's like, this is so cool, but that is so necessary, because they know exactly what we need.
Mm-hmm.
Just like you as a food allergy mom know exactly what is needed, and it just so happens that it tastes great and everyone can eat it. And like I said, it is nutritious enough that even people, I'm not sure, don't quote me, endocrinologists, but I think diabetics might be able to look at some of them, and maybe they can have a cookie or two, and they're nice and small too. So, and then also when you have mixes, you can always do something to them to make sure that they are friendly to whatever you're doing in your health journey. Maybe it's adding protein to the pancake mix or whatever. So, and I did the cooking demo with Homemade. Is that her name? Is that the name of the brand? Yeah.
Yep.
And so she used the cookies and made a truffle and all these other little dishes. So there's wonderful things you can use the cookies as the ingredient to create other things. So I'm telling you guys, please go check out Partake Foods the next time you're at your grocery store. I'm sure it's there. You just didn't notice it, but it's there. And support this amazing woman and her business. And thank you so much. Is there anything else you'd like to share with us?
Thank you so much for having me and for helping me and allowing me to share my story. If anybody wants to learn more about Partake, I see the banner. The website is partakefoods.com, and you can find us across all social media handles or all social media channels at our handle, Partake Foods. Thank you, Dr. Renee.
Oh, thank you. And so, yes, please, you guys follow her on Instagram. They have great stories, great reels, and they post about all the new products. Also, join their mailing list, and then you'll find out right away about the new products. But do you have anything else new coming soon?
We have launched a new Marvel Avengers lunchbox snack pack at Target that launched this week. The Snickerdoodle you mentioned, as well as our lemon cookies. And then we have an exciting new product that's coming out this summer.
Awesome. I can't wait. So, everyone, please make sure you follow. And of course, come and see me again here at blackdoctor.org. And I will check you guys later. Thank